I'm introducing Vue.js. Well, for several months ago, we started a project here for the redesign of the Front-End Authority website into a web app. And we split up into two teams. And we had a development team and a design team. And on the development team, we decided that we were going to use Vue.js as our technology to do the coding. So I kind of jumped in and painstakingly learned some stuff about it and kind of fell in love with it. So I'm going to give a quick introduction, go through some slides, show some features, what I think is really good about it. And then I'll put some live code up, which is actually kind of the boilerplate for the Front-End Authority web app. And we'll go through the live code so I can show you really how simple it is. And then take questions. Yeah?
Can you just quickly, why did you choose Vue over options that you had?
Well, we were talking about using Angular or React or something like that, and we went, well, why don't we try a lightweight framework that none of us even knows anything about so that we can learn something new. And so it's like, oh, Vue.js, okay. So we just kind of landed on that one, like throwing a dart at a dartboard. Okay, so what is Vue.js? Is this readable, by the way? Yeah, good. Okay. Sorry? Oh, yeah, okay. Right. Right. There we go. Okay. Okay, so what is Vue.js? Vue.js calls itself a library for building interactive web interfaces. You know, I call it a framework. It's focused on the Vue layer, but with the addition of proper tooling and libraries and so forth, it can be a framework. It follows an MVVM architectural pattern, which is model view, view model. And here's a really simple example. So the view is just a DOM node. In Vue, there's no virtual DOM. It's like a real DOM. And then the model is just a JavaScript object. That's all it is. And then you create an instance of Vue, and you bind the model, which is your data, to a DOM element. In this example, it's a DOM element with the ID of example1, and that's it. So we bound the view to a model. What do you have to do to make it reactive? That's it. Just like that. That's a very simple reactive component right there. So as soon as the data changes, the view is going to automatically get updated. So if you've ever seen or worked with React, this is all going to look very familiar to you. Vue.js is component-based. So this is what a component looks like. You extend your example, which is an instance of Vue. You have a template, which is your DOM element. You have your data, which is JavaScript object. And that's it. That's a component. Modularity. If you use Vue.js with a bundler like Browserify or Webpack, each component's going to be its own module. So importing and exporting is really easy using a bundler. And to do that, we just take the object that we created in the last example and just wrap it in another object and export it. Just like that. That's it. Similarly, it's easy to import modules. You simply import it, and then you register it inside your module, inside your component, and then it's available inside of your template. Notice the nomenclature. When you put it inside your template, it's all lowercase with a dash. And when you import it, the name is the first letter is capital, and then it's camel case. So these are what I think is good about Vue.js. It's a reactive, component-based modular. They have simple animations that you can use right out of the box. I haven't looked at them myself, but apparently that's a feature because some people talk about how difficult it is to use animations in some of the other frameworks. And Vue is very easy to learn. The bad part is that it's not supported by Google or Walmart Labs or Facebook. The development community is somewhat limited. So there is the possibility that it could just go away. But so I pasted this little blurb from Evan You. He's the founder of Vue.js. And this is kind of his rebuttal to people who might say that. He talks about test coverage and bugs. And he says that, if you roll out your app on Vue.js, Vue.js is stable and will still be around a year or 2 years from now. So as I mentioned earlier, Vue.js is a library for building interactive web applications. How does it become a framework? We need to pull in some other tools. The community has created some of these tools to work with Vue. And with the addition of these tools, you have a fully featured framework. So, of course, we need a router. The router, to me, looks very much like the React router. So in your main.js file, which is your entry file, you import your router and then you use it. And you'll see that pattern repeated over and over again, import and use. We create a new instance of the Vue router, create our router map, pull the app into the router and start it, and that's it. And then if you go into the app component, which is the top level component, so as I mentioned, Vue.js is component-based, so you always have a parent component. In this case, it's app. So you go into the app component, and then you just instantiate your router view, and that's it. You got yourself a router. It supports nested routes. It's pretty powerful and really easy to use. Vue Resource. So Vue Resource is another plugin that's really powerful and really easy to use. It's the plugin that was developed to work with Vue, to work with RESTful APIs. Again, you just require it and use it in your main.js file. And then, so unlike Angular, where you have to inject the HTTP service as a dependency into your modules and so forth, this one, it's just there and you just use it. So in your component, you create an instance of the HTTP function, pass in an options object, and then you get a promise. And then inside of your callbacks, this keyword is bound to the instance. And that makes it really easy to do your AJAX request, get your data, shove it into your model, and then your model is bound to your view, and it's really easy. And I'm going to demo this later to show you how easy it is. So Vue Loader is like the secret sauce of Vue.js. Vue Loader is it's a loader for Webpack, and it works with Webpack, and it helps you to write Vue components and transform them into JavaScript modules. And it makes your Webpack a lot more powerful. You get ES 2015 like right out of the box. It takes each part of your component and it'll pipe it through the appropriate loader. So in your styles, your styles could just be plain CSS, or you could use Sass. And you don't have to tell Webpack, hey, if you see Sass, put it through this loader. Vue Loader does that for you. So I really like that. And then it automatically handles your static assets, like JPEG files, PNGs, whatever. It takes care of that for you. And best of all, you can scope your CSS to the component. And that's because ViewLoader has Post CSS built it right into it. So all you have to do is say, hey, I want this scoped, and it's done. And also, it supports hot component reloading, provided that you have your Webpack configured properly. So I cut and paste this little blurb right out of the documentation because I think it really sums it up. It gives you a modern, flexible, very powerful front-end workflow. So this is what a Vue component looks like when you're using ViewLoader. You got your template tag up at the top, and that's just your DOM node. You see the curly braces right there. That's how you bind your data to the model. And below that, you have your script tag. Your data model is inside that script tag. And then at the bottom, you've got your style tags. In this case, the language is specified as Sass, and it's scoped. If you wanted to make global styles, you can do that too. You could have two style tags. One style tag could be scoped, the other style tag could be global. So it's really powerful. What I like about this is it makes code reuse really easy because you've got your template, all of your JavaScript and all of your styles all encapsulated into this one file. So you're not running off and looking for a controller, looking for a model, looking for a view, and grabbing stuff out of different folders. It's just like all right here. Also, and Nelson's talked about this a lot, synergy between designers and developers. It doesn't get any easier than that. Developer just creates the Vue component, codes up all the behaviors and so forth, hands it off to a designer. The designer takes this, sees, oh, there's my template, there's my styles. The designer doesn't need to know what's going on between these script tags. The designer can scope their styles so that multiple designers that are working on multiple components aren't stepping all over each other. And I think this would make designers and developers be very productive together. So if you decided to start developing an app with Vue.js, how would you get started? Well, the way I did it was I just kind of jumped in and started doing it, and I started building my own scaffolding piece by piece by piece and working through all the bugs, and finally I had a working scaffold. And then maybe 3 or 4 days ago, I found this. They've already rolled out some scaffolding. It's in the Vue.js documentation. If you look in there, you'll find it. And they have templates available for Webpack and Browserify. And they also have a very simple one that's just HTML. So you can start with one of these. You can use it as is, or you can fork it and customize it. And that would probably be easier than doing it the way I did it. So the CLIs are available on the GitHub repository for Vue.js. What about large-scale apps? Can you do a large-scale app on Vue.js? Yes, you can. People have done it. There is a thing to help you. It's called Vuex. It's a Flux-inspired application architecture for Vue.js, and that is also available on the GitHub repository under Vuex. So I'm going to throw this slide up here, and this is the Flux architecture and the Vuex architecture. At first glance, they look a lot different, but at second glance, they're exactly the same thing. You got data flowing in one direction. You've got your states stored outside of your components. You've got your action creators, your dispatcher, and it's pretty much the same thing. So if you're familiar with Flux architecture and you're comfortable with it, then this Vuex would probably be a good place to start. So performance. I don't want to get too political here. I know some people are really married to various frameworks, but there's this guy. I don't know what's better, React or Vue, but this guy Max Wilmot thinks he knows. He wrote an article on it, he calls it a real world example, and he coded it up in React and coded it up in Vue.js, and he did this comparison. And so I'm just going to throw out the last line in his whole article. He says that Vue handles frequent changes to existing elements and data much better than React. So you can go ahead and here's the URL down here. You can read it for yourself and make up your own mind of which framework's better, or which one performs better. So if you're interested in learning Vue.js, I think these Laracasts are excellent. That's where I started. They're really good at teaching you Vue.js. Eventually, as you get further into the Laracast, they're going to push you into a Laravel kind of workflow, which I didn't want, so I kind of jumped off the train there. But for just getting started with Vue.js, these are both excellent courses. Also, there's the Vue.js website, which has all the documentation. And Evan Yu, he's the founder of Vue.js. This Vue.js is his personal project, and he has a blog, and you can go to the blog and read about some of the stuff he has to say about it. So I guess that's it for my slides. So let's put some code up. Let me get my dev tools. Okay, so I created a boilerplate for the Front-End Authority web app. There's not a lot here. I've got a home page and I've got an events page. I want to show you. So here's my webpack.config file right here. There's not a lot there. It's pretty simple. Got my entry point and I got a build. So it's going to take all of my modules and squish them together and build a file called build.js. And I got a few loaders. If you've ever used Bootstrap with Webpack, then you've probably seen these two lines right here with the jQuery. You need to have those, otherwise Webpack's going to come back and error out and say I couldn't find jQuery. Because in Webpack, the Q is capitalized, and in the module that's loaded, the Q is lowercase. So you kind of have to help Webpack out a little bit. And other than that, I've got a file loader for various types of resources. And down at the bottom, there's my Vue loader. So that just tells Webpack, hey, when you see a file that's .vue, pipe it through the Vue loader. Really simple. Here's my package.json, and these are all the modules that I loaded up, pretty much one at a time, figuring it out as I went along. And so that's my boilerplate there. So here's my entry file, main.js. This is kind of where you just pull in Vue.js and pull in the other tools that you're using. You see the recurring pattern of requiring and using. So I'm requiring the Vue router, using it, requiring Vue resource and using it, and you can see that you can do that in one line. This thing that says require expose, that is exposing my app to jQuery, because in my next line, I'm requiring Bootstrap, and Bootstrap needs jQuery. So I create a new instance of the router, and I require the top level app, the Vue component. And there's my router map. And I extend my Vue instance, pass that to the router, start the router, and that's it. Where's my main.js? Or no, where's my index? There it is. Okay, here's my top level HTML file. I have a div ID called app. That's where I'm mounting the app. And then I have an instance of my app component, which is my parent component for all the other components. And then I source my build.js file. And that's it. That's my top level right there. And then I have my components file or folder, and this is my top level component right here. Template, script, and style. So this is a app.view file. So this will get piped through the view loader. So I'm importing my a block called header block and registering it, and then I just instantiate it up there at the top, and then I have my router view, and that's it. That's the top level of my app right there. This right here, oops, better undo that. I threw that in there to show you how props work. Props work in Vue the same way they work in React. You pass them in as an attribute, and that colon is just a shorthand for Vue bind or vbind. So I'm binding that attribute to this tag down here called header message. So I'm just binding that using the colon, passing that to my header block. And here's my header block. Okay, so there's a header block. So down here in the script tag, you see props. So that's just like just like React, you just have props there. That's passed into the attribute, and then that's available in the template, just like so. And so right here, see where it says, hello, this is the parent, that's the prop that I passed in right there. And I'm going to show you that this is reactive. There it goes.
Well, can you make it white?
I can.
The text white.
Let me close the DevTools. There we go. Okay. Let me try this again. So this is the parent node right here. There, it's reactive. So as soon as I change this data in header message, the view in the child component immediately updates. So that's the hot reload feature that's built into Vue Loader using Webpack. So it'll automatically hot reload every instance of that module. Every module that uses that component will automatically get hot loaded when you save it. So here's the next thing I want to show you. Okay, this is my events page. These are the events off of the meetup.com, the front-end authority meetup.com page. So I'm actually grabbing the events right off meetup.com and populating this component with them. Let me open that one. Okay, here we go. So down here inside my script tag, I've got this thing called getEvents, a method called getEvents, and then there's this.http $.jsonp. That's the Vue resource. That's an instance of Vue resource. So all I'm doing is passing it a URL and a couple of options, and I get the response. And remember I said that this keyword is going to be bound to this component. So all I have to do is say this events gets response.data results, and that is pulled right into my model right up here. And then up here in my template, I'm using a V4, which is kind of like a for each loop, and I'm populating the template with the data off the meetup.com API. Okay, so you'll notice for event description, I'm using 3 curly braces instead of 2. That interprets it as HTML. And I'll show you what happens if I remove those, one of them. So that's HTML. So by using 3 curly braces, I'm basically telling Vue, hey, this is HTML, render it as HTML. You should only do that with a trusted source, by the way. Yes, sir. Sorry.
It's okay. 5 minutes so we can read the.
Okay. All right, so I got like 1 or 2 more things to show you. Okay. There we go. Let's see. Oh, okay. So up here where I'm rendering the event time, I'm passing that into one of my helper methods, and you can do that right inside the template like I did. And all that's doing is taking the date time from meetup.com, which is in milliseconds, and converting it into a human readable format. So the takeaway, though, what I'm trying to convey to you is that with very little code, almost no code at all, I was able to grab the events off the meetup.com API and populate this page with them with, I don't know, like 30 or 40 lines of code. So it's really, really simple, really powerful. And that's about it. You guys got any questions?
Okay, so back in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
what would you have done differently, or would you have still, are you happy you went down the Vue.js?
Uh,
You know, that way, or?
Well, I'm happy because I learned a lot, so I'm happy that I did it because I learned a lot. But if I was going to start a new project, I would grab one of their CLIs and not go through the painstaking process of trying to get all this stuff to play nice together. Yeah. But now that it's done, it's really nice because I've got tons of all these modules that and then Webpack just jams it into build.js file. I've got Bootstrap in here. I've got Sass Loader. I've got Babel. I've got pretty much anything you can think of. And so I have it with one push of the button. I've got a build, and I could deploy it to a live server in like 10 seconds. Maybe I'll do a presentation on that next time. But yeah, I mean, it was painful, and I ran into a lot of problems, but I learned a lot doing it. So yeah, I'm not sorry I did it. But so now, we have this beautiful boilerplate set up, got it working. So what we need is for the design and development teams to come back together and start working on this thing. So hopefully I've inspired some of our development team members to re-engage and get this web app going, get it done.
What would be your advice for a designer to work within Bootstrap?
Within Bootstrap?
Yeah, because you've loaded up Bootstrap. So
Yeah, Bootstrap is there.
do you see any conflict of interest there? Having a designer come on and be like, well, Bootstrap's already designed, so I don't know.
No, well, the template and the styles are pretty much separate from the behavior. So I could write all my code and put whatever behavior I want in there, and the designer, the template and the CSS is like an empty sandbox for them to play with. It would have no effect on anything that I've done.
So you would suggest to the designer, go ahead and override the basic Bootstrap.
Only when necessary. I would say use Bootstrap whenever possible. I mean, you already have it, right? So you already have a responsive app right out of the box. So just supplement it, don't overwrite it, is what I would say. Yeah. Yes.
And have you ever actually looked at the animations or how they're implementing it?
I haven't looked at the animations, but if you go to Evan Yu's blog and he has a reintroduction there, he talks about it, and he's pretty excited about it and proud of it because, he says it's really easy to use. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but like if anyone wants to go in and do that, maybe that would be another topic for a presentation. All right.
So we'll take a 5-minute break so we can set up for our next presenter. And still pizza and soda. Check, check, check. Welcome to McConnell's. Can I take your order?
Got your name already.
Nate.
Neat.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Nate is going to present how to gamify your website.
AJ's not here today, unfortunately, but I'll be stepping in his place. That's okay.
AJ's not here this month, but you still got me, unfortunately, and Tanner. So, yeah. Don't worry, you have more time to talk after. But everyone, round of applause for Nate. Thank you so much.
Before we get started, the two in the back need to stop making out. I don't want to walk around up here with a heart on the whole time. Thank you. Okay, so how's everybody doing? Good? I said, how's everybody doing? All right. I'm not too bad myself. So let's get talking about, it's really a thought exercise more than anything, how to gamify your website, the m-commerce guide, because in today's world, you'll see that things are moving quite fast in the mobile world. So why am I talking, right? Why is this guy here? Okay, so I'm the lead UX UI designer at a company called HeroX.com. I'm the former UX UI designer at Applique.com, which was a fashion e-commerce company. Both of these websites used two-sided marketplace, and so that's what I'll be referencing throughout the talk. Okay, so I was a past front-end developer myself, so able to relate with you guys to some extent, but you guys are doing a lot more advanced work because I'm just a designer. But I just hope we can leave all our preconceived notions about gamifying and gamification at the door for the presentation, and then we can get into some heated debate after the presentation. All right? Okay, so, but I'm very passionate about the collaboration and facilitating the collaboration between marketers, developers, and designers. So let's get talking about what we're about to cover. So we're really just going to cover how to reference games to inspire your websites that you develop. And I just love this quote from Picasso. You can read it for yourself, but it's good artists copy, great artists steal. And today we're going to be good artists, okay? We're going to be good artists. All right. So how this will benefit you, basically, you're going to go from being a developer at a company or a side project that's an order taker to one that's a leadership role by using this gaming strategy that we're about to go through. So let's get started. Let's talk about multiplayer, because this is the first decision in Super Mario Brothers, right? One player or two player. Is your brother home? Is your sister home, right? This is often the first question you want your users to ask themselves when they visit your website too, okay? You want them to refer people. Why? This is growth hacking. You don't wait until after they've bought your product in order for you to, and I know we all do it. You could think of 1,000 websites in your head where after you buy the product, they email you or there's a thank you page that's like, hey, share it with your friend. Well, that's too late, man. I went through your whole process. Do it early on in the beginning, okay? And have a landing page, put your share button on there, have a blog post, put your share button at the top, have them invite friends early on in the onboarding stage. Make it worth inviting, in other words. So, and make it fun. That's multiplayer. Next, we'll talk about role playing, okay? Switch roles. Think of a boring website, like a lawyer website or a doctor website. These can be fun. Don't think about it as a one-way street. It's not you're the admin and you have all these followers just purchase your services and your product from you. Don't think of it like that. Think of handing over the reins to them. Give them the access to be the admin. What does that do? What ideas did that bring to mind? Give them some power, and then they'll have followers. Then you have these little nodes, right? You get it? It's a front-end development joke, nodes. Okay. All right, no. Okay, sorry. I used it wrong, right? Out of context. So back on point here. They'll have their own followings, right? They'll be able to market to their friends and family, and then you'll see your business grow and inflate. That's really important for growth hacking, okay? So just think about that. Every time a new project, what if they were admin? I know can't give all the reins to them, but you can give some. It creates a two-sided marketplace, and it's your own microeconomy. Now, we have some great references out in the real world that aren't games necessarily, but games are a lot more fun, right? Make the roles, instead of it being like admin and customer, make it about a hero and a damsel in distress. Make it fun. Don't hesitate. Okay, so some good examples right now, and they don't do it exactly to the extent I'm telling you to do it, but Airbnb, for example. Can you be a host? Can you be a tenant? Yeah, you can be both. Uber, you can be a driver. You can be a passenger. Okay? There's people already doing this, guys. I'm just trying to help you just come up with the idea. Epiphany, okay? All right, so let's talk about settings. Remember me, okay? Remember me. When I come back to your website, remember me. Allow me to personalize the website and make it my own. Let's flip back a few. Look at the top left. Mario, top left. Mario, on your websites, it says your logo. It's not the user's website. It's your website. They want to make it their own. Personalization, okay? Think about it. Character creation is very popular in games like NBA Live, or this one we're referencing here. Customizing it like yourself, okay? We go through this all the time. If you filter when you're shopping, if you're searching, if you're setting up your profile avatar, these are opportunities. It's onboarding, right? These are opportunities that let the person customize the website and cater it to yourself. So personalize that user experience, baby. All right, so let's talk about levels and leveling up, okay? Sprinkle encouragement. Just like the coins throughout Mario's run, he's always incentivized to go forward, okay? And at the end, it's fireworks, man. Thank you. You made it. But more importantly, to really make this work for your business, you got to bottleneck and constrain these, okay? You have to come up with the stage gates. Like, where's the line? We got to draw a line. Let's have them buy the first product. That's cool. You can buy any first product you want. But you have to share with 30 friends before you can buy the next one. Just whatever it is, think about it. Brainstorm it. Put it on a board. Think about ways you could bottleneck the experience so you can get them to refer or buy a new product. That's really the point of leveling up. There's a line in the sand. Once you meet that, it's the next level, okay? So congratulations, you made it. But before we get there, you got to refer some friends or you got to buy something. Level up, okay? So the next one is action. And now I'll just squash what I just said, right? Action is like call to action. And the reason I have a Game Boy here is because it's like one of the easiest calls to action. You turn it on and you push start to play. There's a start button right there. You push it to play. Websites are no different. On the home page, get started. It's that simple. Just get started. Get them to the next page. Get them to the next stage. Get started. It's that easy. And it's just as easy on the Game Boy to pause. You push start again. On and off. It's that simple. Websites should be that simple too. It should be just as easy to get started as it is to log out. Make it easy, okay? Don't get in their way. And use less frictional calls to action. And I know we've all seen this, like, buy now, and you got the arrow pointing. Hey, come on. It's unnecessary. First of all, it's confrontational, right? You're making them take a big gulp. Am I going to do this? No, I'm going to leave, okay? Use something less confrontational, less frictional, like next or continue. And you'll see websites doing this out in the real world today, but I'm just bringing it to our awareness now. All right, interactions and animations, some of which Walker just talked on in his Vue.js speech, right? So the animations are simple. They're just CSS animations. And you can use some JavaScript too, but CSS is a little lighter weight. But when the user finally engages with your website, whether it's a hover or a click or a swipe, whatever it may be, make it worth their while. Use some of those animations. Don't let them sit there in a folder. Use them. So I'm just recommending this to you because you can take those little animations and really take the brand. Like, let's say your brand mascot is an owl. When they click the follow button on your webpage, have it be an egg. And so when they click the egg, it cracks open and a baby owl's born. Something, just make it more worth their while to engage with your site. And they'll love you. And they'll love it, your product, okay? That's what interactions and animations, that's the power of them. Okay, so let's do it. And you guys all have a great example with Google Material Design. They design the hovers, they design the clicks, and they use those animations even when you scroll. Every interaction, and make it worth your while. Okay, Arcade, all right? Arcade is like onboarding 1.0, guys. You put the quarter in. They made you pay first. Can you think of a website that makes you pay first today? Bitcoin? That's pretty good. Okay, so thank you. So so let's use Arcade as an example here for onboarding, all right? They let you use their whole product in the beginning before they have you submit a username. That's not till the end. And then they put it on the scoreboard. Websites are no different. Let's say you had a t-shirt website. You're designing your own t-shirts, okay? Let them design the t-shirt first. They upload it, everything looks good, they pick the color, it all looks good, and then they go continue, right? They go next, non-frictional call to action. And then you say, set up your username. Great. Then you put their username on the scoreboard. You've sold 0. Thompson sold 34. Now you're on a scoreboard, which brings me to my next point. Scoreboard. Applique.com, which is a fashion e-commerce company, we did what I previously said. We gave the users admin. We gave them admin. We redesigned it and gave them the power to design their own t-shirts and market it to their followers and friends. And we did that with a scoreboard. So we had them compete to see who could sell the most. And what did that do? It inflated competition. And they began to even talk amongst each other. So use a scoreboard and have them sign up after they've engaged with your site. Don't be like, you got to sign up first, people. Got to sign up first. I don't know what we're going to get into. So make sure you just think of Arcade. And you can look at your own ideas out in the game industry world yourself. So this brings me to my next point, tips and tricks, okay? Everybody knows there's, in the footer of your website, a blog link, an FAQ link, or a press release link or news link, okay? And these are often forgotten, guys. And what you'll find on your blog reel is maybe some social media post or something. Maybe just, it's not really maintained. But this is content strategy we're just letting go to waste. And it's a really simple content strategy. If you look at the gaming industry, we have a perfect example, right? Tips and tricks, cheat codes. The users want to know how they can manipulate your system. They want to know how they can get ahead, okay? And so if you have this, it's not just a FAQ. You shouldn't need FAQs. You should have a tips and tricks, a cheat code blog. And they go there and they're like, how to make money on your website. Oh, this is great. I can really manipulate it to make it work for me. Now they've been indoctrinating themselves, not as a new customer, but as a returning customer. And they're going to use their platform more and more and more and cultivate an audience, and people are going to ask them questions. They're going to become an expert. So that's really, and that's why I have this cheat codes, picture up here. It's like, oh, dude, we could totally manipulate the game. Brings me to my next point, loading. We all know it. Don't make users wait, right? Don't make them wait. It hurts. But there's some points where you have to. I remember when I first started Applique, they had the customizer. Every click, you had to wait and load. It would be loading patterns, 1,000 patterns, 1,000 colors. Every click, you pick a color, you have to wait. You pick a pattern, you have to wait. And we went in and we front-loaded it immediately, okay? You front-load it immediately, and then throughout the experience, it's unobtrusive. You can click around, explore, and find new experiences you never knew you could have before. So you get that out of the way. And Grand Theft Auto is a perfect example of that. When the game is loading, it looks a lot more like your homepage slideshow than it does that mask you put up in front of things when people filter on your website. So if they filter like, I want to look at things that are near to far, and I want to sort the website like that. Okay, wait. Got the animated GIF and you max it and they're like, well, I can't click anywhere. I got to wait a long time. Don't do that to them. Let them have access. Front load it. So you give them this, they're called the 4 A's, okay? Actor, action, artifact, and atmosphere. And if you look at this Grand Theft Auto picture, you got the character there, he's the actor, the gun is the artifact, the atmosphere is this sunset atmosphere. But the point is to use that to your advantage, front load, and make it worth their while, okay? So try that, grab that slideshow off your homepage that's doing you absolutely no good, okay? Take that and put it and front load your website, okay? And then just put that call to action we talked about earlier on your homepage. Let's talk about theatrical trailer. We'll watch the movie, sit down, we'll watch the movie in a second. Okay, so let's first and foremost talk about the product launch. You've got to build hype ASAP, okay? If you guys are working on a project right now and you haven't started your product launch or your feature launch or whatever, you haven't started that plan yet, stop what you're doing and do that first. Get the hype out there immediately, right? Okay, because as early as possible and as long as possible, you need to be building hype and marketing to your audience, okay? That's how you build awareness, and that's how you also gauge enthusiasm. So you gotta know if what you're bringing to market is even desirable. I know you guys did like some focus groups and stuff, but you brought beer, so of course they like it. So this is just a great example right here, what Lego did with the Star Wars game. And so before we get started there, I'm gonna exit this. Is there no sound? Then I'll fast forward. You guys have seen this, but right there is really important, guys. The June 28th, 2016. Not only did they have the story out in front, right? They told you the whole story. It's a parody about the real Star Wars movie. It has Lego characters. It's going to be funny. It's not serious, okay? So they got the story out front. And every product launch, every feature launch, everything you change on your website has a story. Why are you doing it? What impact is it going to make? Share that story. Look at the gaming industry. They use video for that. Yeah, you could do a press release, but you're going to hear crickets, okay? And plus, it's fake. It's like buying likes, okay? Don't do a press release. And you can do a blog post if you have a million readers. That's great. Do a video. Do a YouTube ad. Get that up. Pay the $700 or the $5 on Fiverr for whoever is going to make your video. But get that done. And at the end, have the call to action. Pre-order now. Have them go to the webpage. Have them pre-order. This is how you build hype, and this is how you launch a product. It's really simple, and I think Lego did a great job of setting the example there. So you'll have that. So how do you implement Gamify? The point you've been waiting for, right? The first thing you need to do is on your team collectively have one-on-one meetings and talk to them about gamification, what we just covered, and you guys can do your own research too. How many of you have played games here? Nobody. Seriously? Just kidding. Yes, and if you haven't played games in a long time, you're more arcade guy, think back to that time, okay? Because it's still relevant. Board games are still relevant. They're still relevant, okay? I knew I got one. All right, so you can bring that to the table one-on-one and have them and tell them, hey, we're going to have a meeting next week, okay? And at that meeting, we're going to talk about a strategy for the website. And at that meeting, you're going to talk about loading, okay? Sound good? You like loading a lot, I know. You always complain about it. You're going to talk about it and how it can be more game-like. And then you get them on board. Now, it's not about you going to the presentation and telling everybody what to do. You have an advocate for you right there. He's going to be there, and he's going to argue your point, okay? And that brings me to the next thing, which is, you can guide the topic to some extent, all right? You can have these one-on-one meetings with the marketer, with the CEO, with the designer, and you could tell them your perspective and ask them what theirs is and get that topic to come up to the top like cream, okay? And then you're going to be able to have them be advocates for you. Set up the 20-minute meeting with them all, and then they'll each take turns pitching your idea to you. And it's a way more conductive meeting than if you were to just come try to boss them around. So hopefully you can turn the table. In summary, steal ideas from video games in the industry. We talked about multiplayer, role-playing settings, levels, action, arcade, tips and tricks, loading. You know what we talked about. But also request to be at the stakeholder meeting. And if they say no, set up your own meeting. That's it. So, achievement unlocked. Yes, you guys can find me on Twitter. So, thanks so much. Any questions? Yes?
What are some examples of websites that exemplify what you suggest?
Examples of websites, just so you guys can hear him, he's asking what examples of websites actually use and undertake some of what I've been mentioning. Like, for example, let's talk about the interactions and animations. I mentioned Google Material Design, right? Let's talk about the call to action being less frictional, okay? Tesla, now instead of buy now or order now, they're using next because they're going to progress you to finance or lease or what have you. And then let's talk about There's a lot of websites that you could find on websites like awards.com, awards.com. A lot of them use the theatrical trailer as their homepage. Okay, so there's a lot of good websites out there. Yes?
I got one for the whole gamification thing. Now it makes sense why Reddit is so huge. It's because they let anyone be a mod, anyone create their own subreddit. The whole gamification is, oh look, I have this much loot karma. It's not like I can do anything with it. It's just internet points. But
Yeah.
I feel good whenever I get 10 of them.
Okay, that's great. Reddit.
I would have suggested Starbucks as an example, Starbucks point system.
Perfect. Perfect example.
I didn't know if you had some in mind that meet your criteria or that are, maybe 7 out of your 10 points.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I can only come up with some on my mind. Like if you guys did visit applique.com, the website I was the user experience and UI designer for, and you upload applique.com, APLIIQ.com. On there, you can design your own clothes, okay? And when you upload artwork to get it vectorized, you're gonna have to wait for a loading screen, and that loading screen is awesome, okay? Because we talked about loading, right? But here's another example. Let's talk about a blog, right? Like a famous blog, smashingmagazine.com. Everybody heard of Smashing Magazine? Okay? They have guest post bloggers on there. There's not one person blogging, there's not two people, they're not all in-house. They have guest people, okay? That's giving the reader the admin role right there. So they're out there, but you're gonna see more of them be like some of the cutting edge avant-garde of web design. That's why I also mentioned awards, because anybody who has anything avant-garde posts it on awards.com with 3 W's. Okay, any other questions? All right, okay guys, play some games. That's your assignment. Thanks.
Oh, I do have one question.
Yes.
Earlier on in your presentation, you're saying the video games, you said whatever, onboarding, you have to put a quarter in the game before playing, but nowadays they're charging a lot more than a quarter. Some of the games are like 50 cents, some of the games are $1.
Some t-shirts are sold online for $100. How do they do it? They build hype. They build hype. They build hype. And they do it all day. They have, I mean, that's the synopsis of it. You can get down in the details all day about what value proposition you need to get a $100 t-shirt. One of the most recent ones was done on Kickstarter, and it's a 30-year-long t-shirt. I don't have it on, but I can't wait to get one, right? So, I mean, that's one example. Any other questions?
The t-shirt's supposed to last for 30 years?
Yeah. And they just did a hoodie before that and just did jeans before that. So they're on a roll. Yeah. So I was in fashion for a little bit, so I was aware of those kind of things. And we did a very successful Kickstarter project where at Applique, you couldn't design anything other than hard angles. So it had to be square, polygon, had to have hard angles on it. Couldn't be anything curved like a circle, okay? And so we did a circle campaign so that you could have curves on Kickstarter. And I think it took a month, and we raised $25,000 so we could buy a laser cutter that would cut anything out of fabric or textile, so you could put any type of design on your shirt. Not screen printing, because I know screen printing is super easy. You just spit on the shirt. It's easy. But this was applique. That's why they're called applique. And so they would actually cut it out of material and sew it on. And so you couldn't do curves until we got the machine. So, I mean, that's just one thing that I learned from e-commerce. But, yeah, Kickstarter, it's a two-sided marketplace, and that's what's up. Any other questions? No? Okay, cool.